Hey everyone, once been here with another battle report. So based on feedback from a lot of you YouTube viewers, I drastically changed up my Empire list just to try something new. I haven't really felt that the list I've been using is very satisfying, and so I just purposely brought different things and different workups of units to see if I would like something better. And as fate would have it, I met up with a player who was doing the exact same thing with his Warriors of Chaos list. So you have to bear with both of us because we're using a lot of proxies here, and so use a bit of abstraction and just appreciate the units for what they're supposed to be, not necessarily what they actually look like. Anyway, both of us are using lists that are kind of a multiple medium unit MMU style list as opposed to large horde lists. So starting on the left, he has two units he's proxying as Hellstriders. Obviously, that's the unit that came out in the most recent White Dwarf, and he thought he'd like to try them out before buying them. He's got a unit of War Dogs, and behind him he's got a unit of Warriors, 16 of them marked with the Khorne, with the mark of Khorne, halberd shields, and musician standard. And with him he's got a Sorcerer Lord, Lord level but only level 3, Lord of Slaanesh with a scroll. Next to him, he's got another unit of warriors. Everything's exactly the same except they have the standard of discipline. And this one also has a sorcerer lord. So I thought that was very interesting. 2 lord level spellcasters. This one is a level 4 with heavens. And of course the puppet and a charmed shield. Now I'll talk about. So in front of that unit of warriors, you just see 3 black bases. He's using that as skull crushers. And it's kind of funny because during the game, I think he borrowed these and somebody had to get them back. And so you're going to see through the game, the Skull Crushers keep on getting, not only are they proxied, they're proxied by different things. So anyway, he thought he'd give him a try, just give him a musician. Next to him, he's got a battle standard bearer on a disc, which I thought was very interesting. He's got a great armor save and he's got a 3-up ward save. So that guy's going to be tough to deal with. Got a couple chariots. And then he's got another unit of Skull Crushers, and this was just a hodgepodge of different models thrown onto a movement tray. So, like I said, bear with us. Next to that, he's got 10 Marauder Horsemen. Again, they're frenzied with flails. So when they hit, they're going to pack a punch, no doubt about it. And then on the far right, he's got some Warhounds. So when I was deploying, these units you see right here, I put them down first. And I was planning on putting everything else in the right-hand corner, and then for some reason I changed my mind and I put everything in the left-hand corner. And I don't really remember my thinking, but from right to left I've got a steam tank. The unit of handgunners is actually I'm using them as crossbows. I've got my inner circle knights. I was really tempted to give them the steel standard, which gives them basically +1 movement, and then they can re-roll every roll of 1 whenever they're charging or fleeing or pursuing or anything like that. And this unit is so killy that was really tempting to take that standard, but I thought I'd go ahead and stick with the Eternal Flame in case an opponent had something with regen. From my normal list, I downgraded the Arclector to a Warrior Priest, so I just have a Warrior Priest in here, but I went ahead and gave him the Speculum, because one thing I have a lot is some, like a demon fly up and tie up this unit. So if anybody brings a character to try to tie up this unit, hopefully my Warrior Priest can take care of him as well. And from that, I've got 20 Great Swords full command with a unit of archers, a detachment of archers in front of them. I've got the exact same thing, 20 Great Swords with a detachment of archers in front of them. Got Outriders at the front of the woods. Then to the left, you can see I've got a unit of Halberdiers with... It actually has 2 detachments. There's 6 archers in front of him, and there's actually 15 halberdiers and a detachment to the left. My BSB's in there, and he's just really pretty cheap. I gave him full plate and a shield, and just hope he can survive. Behind him, I've got, instead of the Celestial Hurricanum, I brought the Luminarch of Hysh, or however you're supposed to pronounce that. So I've got a level 4 Lord of Light with a scroll on that thing. So you can see where my detachment of halberdiers are. And then I brought a Hellblaster volley gun, and a great cannon, and put a master engineer exactly 3 inches away from each of them. Or at least easy enough to get 3 inches away after my movement. So we roll off. I win the turn to go first, and this was actually a lot of fun. I had so many different things I could move. My only complaint really was I didn't have movement trays. So moving a unit of 20 greatswords on felt without a movement tray was kind of a hassle. Regardless, you can see you can see kind of what I was doing there. Really, my thinking is I need to concentrate my fire on these 2 units of Hellstriders, because they're going to come back here and just clear off my chaff, get into my war machines, and just cause a lot of problems. But I've got plenty of shooting, and my Hellblaster is out of range of anything else anyway, so I think I should be able to take care of them. If you look up in the upper right, my steam tank, I decided just to go ahead and throw 3 of my steam points at movement anyway. And I figured if I didn't get into the Marauders on Horse, then I would just use the remaining steam points to shoot a cannonball and hopefully kill one of those skull crushers. But I rolled crazy good, crazy well, and actually made the charge into them. So that was very, very nice. So this is on the right, and here's the steam tank. So I wasn't really sure how I was going to deal with this unit of Marauders. I think the steam tank is wonderful. My prediction is that I'm going to win combat and he's going to escape because I can't pursue him, and then, I'll just be sitting there. But even if that's what happens and he saves these points, I'll be okay with that. So during the shooting phase, I think my Outriders and 1 detachment of Archers killed 1 unit of Hellstriders. My other Archers and whatever else I had killed I think 1 wound to the other unit. So then I opened up my Hellblaster volley gun, and there was nothing left of those guys. I tried to shoot at something with my cannon, and my cannon blew itself up. And over here on the right, that steam tank hit hard. So D6 plus 3D3 strength 6 impact hits, and then a strength 3 breath weapon. And he didn't take any wounds and killed all 10 of the Marauders on Horse. So I am off to a very, very good start this game. It's turn 1. My poor opponent hasn't even moved yet, and he already has 3 units completely destroyed. So that sounds really good, but the problem is I'm looking at 2 units of Skull Crushers, 2 units of Warriors of Chaos, and I have no solution for him. I don't know what to do about him. So he moves up, as you can see. So he flew his Battle Standard Bearer right in front of my Knights, and I'm thinking, if anybody can take that guy down, it should be my Knights. I mean, I've got the character with the spike in them, but I probably wouldn't even use it. I'd probably just take 8 or 9 re-rollable strength 6 attacks, and I think I only need to do 2 wounds on this guy. What I fear is his 5 up or his 3 up ward save. So I really just need to do enough wounds that he fails a couple of those. But if I don't kill him, and of course I'm thinking if I don't kill him, I still may break him from combat. But if I don't do either of those things, he's got those 2 units of Skull Crushers staring down my Knights. He took both his chariots at my chariot, failed with one and hit with the other. I think that's actually, I said my chariot, my steam tank. I think that's a good solution for the steam tank. Those things, the impact hits and all those strength 5 hits, I'm going to armor save most everything, but once you get a few wounds in the steam tank, it really diminishes its effectiveness. So during the magic phase, really nothing happened. I had to burn my scroll, but other than that, nothing really happened. If you look up top, the chariot didn't do any wounds to my steam tank. He won. I was unbreakable. We stuck right there. So we go to Empire turn 2. I'll go ahead and take my Knights into his Battle Standard Bearer, and then I just move all 3 units of Archers up just to act as redirectors and just to be a general pain in the butt. So it's kind of nice having that flexibility there. This is the charge I think we're both worried about. All I have to do is win through combat res. I've got a charge and 2 banners, and right now I've got a rank. So I'm starting with 3, because that's 4, and he's got a standard, of course. Here's hoping. That would be fantastic. Even if I do kill him, I've still got both units of Blood Crushers just looking at me. So then during I think between in Magic I killed 1 Blood Crusher, and then I'm sorry, Skull Crusher, and then during shooting I killed another Skull Crusher. So what you see is 3 Marauder Horsemen side by side. That just represents 1 Skull Crusher. I think he had borrowed those the things that he was using before. He borrowed and somebody left, so he had to give them back. So anyway, that represents 1 dude. So instead of a unit 3 strong, it's only 1 strong, which makes it much more manageable. So I was very happy about that. And over here on the right, this was absolutely crazy. Let's do the steam tank first. So I do I roll up 5 steam points. So I do 3 for grinding and 2 for the breath attack. And the breath attack does nothing. The grinding does 2 wounds on this chariot. I think he starts with 4. So he fails his fear test and then proceeds to hit with everything. I think one of the horses missed, but both of the Chaos Warriors and the other horse hit with everything despite failing the fear test. And then they actually did enough wounds that I failed 2 armor saves. So I actually took 2 wounds on my steam tank from a chariot and not even on the turn that it charged. I thought that was crazy. So if you look down below, yeah, he killed one of my Inner Circle Knights, and I didn't do any wounds to him. So that was rough. So he had a banner and a wound. I had a charge and a banner. Oh, I was wrong before. I don't have 2 banners. So I won by Musician, and he easily stuck. So we go to Warriors turn 2, and this is where, it's only turn 2, and I'm already saying I don't know what I'm going to do here. He takes the lone remaining Skull Crusher in the middle and charges my Outriders. I decide just to go ahead and stay with him because if I flee, I think he's just going to redirect into somebody else. And I flee with the Outriders, they're probably going to run off the board and may even take other units with them as they fail their panic test. My thinking here is if he beats them, and overruns, he should hit the flank of my archer unit, and then I'll be able to flank charge him in turn. So decided just to sacrifice the Outriders there. If you look on the right, he charged his chariot and the unit of 3 Skull Crushers into the flank of my Inner Circle Knights, and at that point I know that they're just done. There's nothing I can do. Yeah. So what's funny is this, again, those 3 white Marauder models, that represents 1 Skull Crusher. It charges into the flank of my Outriders, and it fails its dangerous terrain and takes a wound. So that's certainly one weakness they have. And these guys are toughness 5 with a 1-up armor save, and they've got 6 attacks. It's crazy, but they only have 2 wounds each. So taking 1 wound is huge. I mean, he probably won't kill all 5 of mine. I'll get 2 attacks back. If I can get lucky with that 1 wound, I mean, that would just be really funny. And yeah, this is not going to go well. Now that token at the back of my unit means I have a 5-up ward save. During my last magic phase, I really just couldn't. I didn't have a good magic phase. That's the only thing I could end up getting off. So over here, this is the Warhound unit that never even showed up in my beginning pictures. They're way off onto my right flank, so they're scooting around here. During the magic phase, he gets an Irresistible Force spell off that my guys have to take a toughness test or take a wound, and I rolled exactly average. So I lost half the Greatsword unit. The good news is, this is one nice thing about the MMU, is a lot of these Uber spells are great anti-horde spells. But, he only killed 10 guys, which for a relatively powerful spell isn't that big of a deal. So he killed a few of his Chaos Warriors in the process. And, yeah, I mean, not wonderful, but not the end of the world. So after combat, yeah, he killed all but 1 of my Outriders. I didn't do a wound back. He overran, hit the flank of my archers. I was hoping he would fail another dangerous terrain. I think that'd just be awesome. But he didn't. He ends up, as you can see. And over here, yeah, he absolutely crushed my Inner Circle Knights. That we fled away from the Skull Crushers. So his Battle Standard Bearer hit the flank of my archer detachment, and his other 2 units just kind of got bottled up behind him, which I thought was very nice. We go to Empire turn 3. Yeah, so overall it looks like that. Basically, I just take my Halberdiers with my Battle Standard Bearer into the flank of this Skull Crusher. My plan is, I'm really hoping I can just win through combat res. But even if I don't, he's blocking his Warriors of Chaos units. So, it's not the end of the world if I don't break him. But whatever. If you look at the archers to the left that look like they're facing that rock, what happened there is during his magic phase, he got the spell off on them, where during my movement phase, they have to move the way he tells me to. So he told them to march at that rock. So that's why they're out there doing nothing. Oh yeah, over here I finally kill the chariot just through the grinding, which was very, very nice. During the I don't know if it's shooting or magic. Either way, I had to choose which of these units to go after, the chariot or the skull crushers. I decided to target the chariot, and I do 3 wounds on it. So it's sitting on 1 wound. So at least, again, it's manageable. And those chariots are, they're tough. And then during again, I don't know if this is, I think this was shooting. I think this is the Hellstorm rocket battery. Went after his warriors and whittled them down. So between a miscast and some various shooting, this unit is, Warriors of Chaos, Frenzied are always going to be tough, but at least I feel this leftmost unit is manageable. The rightmost unit, I haven't been able to target yet because it's been the farthest away and it just hasn't been high enough priority. Once it gets into combat, I think it's just going to cut through anything I have. So we come over here, and this was actually really cool. Really made me appreciate the power of Empire detachments. So he charges my archers, and he fluffs his attacks. He had 4 attacks, he did 0 wounds, which is absolutely crazy. But it really didn't matter, because either way, he wasn't going to kill all 5 of my guys. They were within 3 inches of my greatswords, who is their parent unit, so they were stubborn 8 and rerollable because the battle standard bearer is nearby. So they held them up, just this cheap little unit of archers. So I went ahead and reformed, and I made it so that the chariot couldn't hit him, and his other Warriors of Chaos couldn't hit him. So the chariot it's kind of bottlenecks him with the chariot and the skull crusher unit behind him. So I was more than pretty happy with that. I was actually very, very happy with how that worked out. Here on the left, his skull crusher, I think he went after my archers, actually. I don't know, whatever he did, he didn't kill any of my archers. And so either he fluffed all his attacks or he went after my halberdiers. It doesn't matter. My halberdiers came in. He only had 1 wound left, and I got the last wound off of him. So that was very nice. I still have some chaff units, but probably not enough to really help with everything he has coming down my throat. So we go to Warriors Chaos turn 3. He moves his warhounds on the right so that my steam tank can't just turn around to a rear charge into his skull crushers, which I thought was, exercising a lot of foresight there. On the left, his Warriors of Chaos unit charged my halberdiers, and I was able to do a counter charge with my detachment of halberdiers, which I think it kind of surprised him. And I said, if you didn't know they could do it, you can take it back. And he was generous and said, no, I'm just going to do it. But again, that was this kind of a game of appreciating the detachments. I think he charged my archer unit first, and I fled, and then that cleared the way for him to charge my halberdiers. And then I did the counter charge. And I'm really worried about all the attacks he's going to get on my halberdiers. The Luminarch of Hysh gives me a 6-up ward save. Even with that, he just has a lot of really high weapon skill, high strength attacks. And we go over here, and really he had to take the turn just to move his units, his chariot and his skull crushers around so they could get past his battle standard bearer and my archers. So it kind of bought me a couple rounds there. So after combat, I think I did 2 wounds total on his guys. I'm going to challenge his sorcerer with my battle standard bearer, and that was a pillow fight. He killed a bunch of my halberdiers. I think he ended up winning combat by 2. You know what? I'm not sure. I think he won by 2. Either way, I was steadfast, and I haven't had a chance to look this up in the rules. We questioned each other. We weren't sure. Can you be steadfast if you're touching the woods, or do you have to be more than half in the woods? And we both thought that it's more than half. So, despite the steadfast, my detachment broke and ran from combat, which I thought was kind of funny. And but at least my battle standard bearer's unit held. And here on the right, so he kills 3 of the 5 archers, and I reform again and slide over to block his chariot. So, my thinking now is charge your chariot in, that unit's going to die no matter what. So we go to Empire turn 4. There's kind of a lot going on. Here we have My detachment of halberdiers rallied. The greatswords in the woods, they charge the Chaos Warrior unit in the flank. This remains in play spell. A remains in play spell that's keeping my archers walking at that rock, that impassable terrain. So they're still doing that. Yeah, here on the right, my greatswords charge into his battle standard bearer. I really don't think I'm going to be able to kill him. The only thing I have going for me is he only has 2 wounds, but you know, I don't think it's going to happen. He's going to countercharge, but I don't know what else to do. I mean, I can't really save this unit. Either way, the Skull Crusher is going to come in, and I'm going to die. So I thought this was really nice. If you look here at the bottom, my greatswords came in, and I think we killed his Warriors of Chaos to a man. He did a bunch of wounds on me, especially at my halberdiers, but yeah, so killed the rest of his Chaos Warriors. He just had his Wizard left. He broke from combat, and I ran him down. And it looks like this. Now, we had to roll off to see which direction, because both of my units had the same number of ranks. Now, what this means is his warriors can choose who he wants to charge. He can charge the greatswords in the flank, or he can charge the halberdiers in the front. And the greatswords are stubborn. The halberdiers are not, because they can't be steadfast now that they're completely in the woods. And I think that's going to determine, what he decides to do. So I did not love that I just got totally set up there. So everything on the board is now within 1 picture frame. His Skull Crusher comes into the flank of my greatswords on the right. His Chariot hits my greatswords in the woods, and his Warriors Chaos hit my halberdiers. And the only thing I have going for me is that by the time they wield around my greatswords, there's really very few people in combat, and it's his Sorcerer Lord is the one in the corner who has to issue a challenge. And so when I accept the challenge, I put my guy in that corner, and it blocks out all of his attacks except for one guy standing behind his Sorcerer. So he's got this big bad unit, but they can't do anything. So that's huge. That worked out very, very nicely for me. In hindsight, and I didn't see this either, but in hindsight, probably should have taken him to the flank of the greatswords. He just would have chopped him up. Even if the greatsword stuck, what was I going to do? Countercharge and do anything? So anyway, Steam Tank didn't do anything this turn because he misfired on generating steam points. So the good news about the greatswords in the woods is that Chariot's on 1 wound. So the Chariot's can do a bunch of wounds. I think I'll do 1 back, and that'll kill the Chariot. The greatswords tied up with the battle standard bearer and the Skull Crushers. That's tough. I'm going to get a challenge with my champion, so that'll save some wounds from his battle standard bearer. So then the only thing is he's going to have 2 Skull Crushers, so that's 12 attacks. And with 12 attacks, can he kill 8 greatswords? And my hope is that he can't. And when all's said and done, he did kill my champion, but he could not kill my greatswords, and they stuck. And that was huge, because had they broken, of course, the Skull Crushers would have come into the rear of my greatswords and would have mopped them up. As it was, the greatswords killed the Chariot after losing a bunch. They reformed to face the flank of the warrior unit, and the warrior unit's just stuck in combat where you can see him. So can't complain about that. I still think he's just going to mop me up, but at least we held so far. That's really my feeling about all this. Is like I can't win, but at least I'm holding on so far. I'm getting lucky where I need to. So go to Empire turn 5. The Steam Tank, I think, is finally able to charge the Warhounds. I go ahead and take my Luminarch of Hysh and charge the flank of the Skull Crushers. And the reason I'm doing this is because there's only 3 greatswords left, and so I'm thinking he's going to kill the 3 no matter what. This will give me a charge, a flank, and strength 5 impact hits. If I just kill one guy, if I do 1 wound, it'll kill a Skull Crusher, and he won't be steadfast. And I might just be able to break him through combat res. So then the question came up is, if the greatswords all die, does the battle standard bearer have to take a break test if I were to win combat? Because at that point, he's not in the combat. And we didn't know and didn't care enough to look it up. So here we are here. Obviously, I took my greatswords into the flank of his warriors unit. And yeah, I'm nervous about that. I think I'm in as good position as I could hope to be because he's not getting all his attacks on my halberdiers, and relatively few of my great swords, and my great swords can do as much damage as possible. I think that's as ideal as I'm going to get, but as soon as he gets his BSB or his Skull Crushers in to help out, I'm toast. Yeah, great picture there. So during the shooting phase, I killed the only unit I could shoot at was Warhounds, and I killed the rest of those Warhounds. And after combat, yeah, when my Luminarch came in, I could only do 1 wound. I mean, I rolled like 5 or 6 impact hits, but I just couldn't really get past his 1-up armor save. Converted to a 3-up, who cares, right? But the crazy thing is, I only had 3 greatswords there, and he couldn't kill him. he had 6 Skull Crusher attacks and 4 Exalted Hero attacks, and only killed 1 guy. Epic fail on the Warrior's part in that combat. He still won combat. I stuck with both units, took 2 wounds to my Luminarch. Obviously the Chaos Warriors held where you see them. The Warhounds easily died to the impact hits of the Steam Tank. We go to Warriors of Chaos turn 5. I'm looking at this, I might be able to survive 6 turns, maybe if I get lucky. But basically, nothing really happened because he has nothing to move. And after combat, again, all those frenzied Warriors of Chaos, they couldn't do anything. So they couldn't get enough attacks in. So I got enough attacks. You see I killed a bunch of them from my greatswords. They actually broke from combat. I couldn't run him down, but he had 1 wound on his sorcerer from a long time ago. And I think I did 1 wound to him in combat. And then when he fled through that dangerous terrain, he failed the dangerous terrain and his sorcerer died. So both of the sorcerers are now dead. This unit is just over 25%, so he has a real good chance of rallying back there and saving all those points. But if nothing else, at least gave my units a chance to survive. Over here, he killed the last of the greatswords. He won combat, didn't kill my Luminarch. I think I have 1 wound left, and he didn't chase me down. So at least I have a chance to rally. And we go to Empire turn 6, and this was, again, it was so nice. I rallied the Luminarch, and then I had the unit of archers that fled from the Chaos Warriors a long time ago, where they were. I just kind of kept them back here in the corner. So they passed their test to march, and they just marched up and are blocking the Skull Crushers. So on his last turn, he can charge the archers, but he won't be able to charge the Luminarch. And so I should be able to save those points, as long as I don't fail my panic test if the archers get destroyed. Otherwise, I didn't even move because I just said, look, to save time, if you tell me you're going to charge something, I'll move all my guys. But if you tell me you're not going to charge anything, I won't move anything else. And he said, screw it. Yeah, just different angles. Over here during the shooting phase, I took the Hellblaster and targeted this unit, and I only did 1 wound to it, which I thought was horribly, just awful shooting. But 1 wound is all it took. Now we need Snake Eyes to roll. He shouldn't get it on his turn, and they'll be off the board. So we go to Warriors turn 6. He charges his BSB and his Skull Crushers into my Archer detachment. He's going to win. I know he's going to win. And he can overrun into my Luminarch all he wants because the game's over at that point. So my only concern is, can the Luminarch pass his panic test? And the detachment dies, and I do pass the panic test, which was about 350 points, I think. And the Warriors on the upper left fail to rally. So at the end of the game, he has his Exalted Hero and 1 unit of Skull Crushers, and I have, I believe, 1,500 out of 2,500 points. So I've got 60% of my army still on the table. So I couldn't believe it. It ended up being a victory to the Empire. I mean, even in hindsight, I think if we played again, if we played 10 games, I think he's going to win most of them. I really don't know how to handle this list. I really think I got lucky. And I got lucky because when his Warriors went in there and couldn't make their attacks because they just couldn't fit. But I can tell you it was a much, much more enjoyable game, much more satisfying game. Just had a lot of units to maneuver around, had a lot of those little detachments that are stubborn or steadfast and can just hold things up and just cause problems. That was... Yeah, I mean, that was huge. It made it a lot more fun, and it was one of the reasons I was able to take advantage of the opportunities I had. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed it.